Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about tripods. Now, tripods are a really useful tool for nature and wildlife photography and something that I use every time I go out into the field. Now, I'm shooting a lot of video work, so it's really necessary for me for most of my instances because it really allows me to get some nice clear and crisp video and smooth video so that there's not too much camera shake and movement in the video clips. But it's something I really use for photography as well because it just helps to stabilize my camera, take some of the weight off my arms so I can focus on getting the photos that I want. Now, tripods are cumbersome to move sometimes, but really if you just kind of start using them, you get the hang of it, you're able to move them pretty quickly and adjust pretty quickly, and it really allows you to get some nice sharp images, especially in low light situations. Now, there's a couple of things that are really important for when you're picking out a tripod. So I was actually recently reached out to by Fotopro to test out their new tripod, the Origin Plus travel tripod. And so in doing so, making a video about this tripod, I wanted to also kind of talk about my process in how I determine if a tripod is useful for me and the things that I look at in a tripod to see if it's going to be something that's going to stand up to the elements outside and to be able to support my camera gear. There's a couple of things that are really important, especially for nature and wildlife photographers. And one of those things is durability. Okay, we're out in the elements all day. We're putting our gear in some precarious situations, some awful conditions. There's going to be some sand, there's water, dirt and mud and all sorts of things. And we need something that's going to stand up to those elements. So durability is a really important one. Another one is adjustability. We need something that's going to be adjustable so we can go to different elevations, different heights, something that's going to allow us to go all the way down level with the ground to get those ground level shots. So something that's really adjustable. Another important thing is something that's going to be quick and easy to deploy. You don't want something that's going to be so cumbersome to use that you end up not using it and it just becomes more of a burden than something that's useful for you. For me, another huge factor, because I carry all of my gear, is I want something that's going to be lightweight and compact so I can fold it up, put it in my backpack, and not have to constantly be worried about how heavy the tripod's going to be. And then also, obviously, you're going to need something that's sturdy. You need something that's going to be able to support the weight of your gear and be able to stand up and not have too much shake in it, especially in windy conditions and harsh conditions. You want something that's going to be sturdy and dependable. So those are the things that I look for in a tripod, something that's going to be really dependable, easy to move around, lightweight, sturdy, and durable, and it's not going to fall apart out in the field. So with that being said, I've been able to use this Fotopro tripod now for a couple of weeks. I've used it as my main tripod, so I've been mounting my 400mm and my Z9 onto it and using it as my main tripod because there's a couple of things about this tripod that are really useful for me as a wildlife photographer, and some other things that really made me interested in this tripod to begin with. And one of those things was the compactness of it. So it's very lightweight, it's very compact, and I actually have my old Benro tripod here, which I use. So this was my old tripod that I was using before Fotopro sent me this one. And you can see, just size comparison wise, that there's a difference here in height. So the Fotopro tripod here has a ball head on top of it. And you can see that actually with the ball head on it, the tripods are the same height. So once you take this ball head off, you can see that you end up saving a couple of inches there in space. And the Fotopro tripod is 20 inches when it's folded up. And it's really nice, it's really small, really compact. And it's also made of carbon fiber. So you have a nice lightweight system, and it's just under 3.5 pounds. So it's really nice and lightweight, which is a really important factor, like I said, because I'm carrying all of my gear with me, and I need something that's lightweight, compact, so I can put on my backpack and not have to constantly think about it and have my back hurting at the end of the day. Now, the other thing that was really important that I started out with was durability. Now, I've only had this tripod for 3 weeks now, and I've been trying to test it out in different environments. I brought this down with me along the coastline, was photographing purple sandpipers. So I had it in the sand, I had it in the rocks, the salt water. It was misting, and it was just a pretty nasty day. So there's a lot of salt water and sand, and just testing out within those rocks, and it held up great. I've used it in the mud, in all sorts of different conditions that I typically use. And I'm not very kind on my gear. My gear serves a purpose, and I use my gear. So it's really important for me that things are going to stand up. But as far as the build quality here, everything is carbon fiber. So we have carbon fiber legs, we have aluminum casing up top, and the levers for the legs to adjust them are all metal as well. So it's a really durable system. The build materials here make me pretty confident that this is going to stand up for years and years. So that's really important for me. Now, while we're talking about the build and the legs here, the legs have a unique design. So they're actually a non-circular tube design. They're actually kind of an octagonal shape where they have a flat surface and then a whole bunch of angles to them. And it's a really unique shape, and it makes it a really unique design. So even as you extend the legs all the way out, even if the bottom section, it's a pretty thin leg, but because of this design, it's still really sturdy, and actually is more sturdy than my Benro tripod when the leg is fully extended. And that brings us into the next thing, which is having it be sturdy enough. So this tripod is rated at carrying about 44 pounds, which is more than enough for my gear. And typically when I look at the weight limits for tripods, I'm looking for a weight limit that's at least double, if not triple, what the weight of my gear is. Now my gear is somewhere around the 11-pound mark. So this is definitely going to be sturdy enough for my gear. I can mount my camera onto this and not have to worry about it not holding up to my gear. The next thing that's really important to me is being able to deploy this quickly in the field. Now, my Benro tripod and most other tripods that I've used end up having this screw locking design. So you have to unscrew this and then you can pull the legs out. And when you're doing that for a lot of legs, it becomes pretty cumbersome. It becomes pretty time consuming. But the Fotopro tripod has a lever lock design. And like I said, these are all metal, so you can easily, quickly deploy this tripod, which makes a big difference out in the field when you're trying to sneak up on an animal, but you need to deploy your tripod as well. You want to be able to do that quickly and quietly, and that's what these locks allow you to do. You can just quickly flip the lock, pull out the tripod leg, and then latch it. And it is sturdy. Once you latch it, it's a really sturdy system. And you're actually able to do this for all the legs at once, which is really, really nice, because now I can deploy all of the legs, quickly latch everything down, and now the tripod leg is fully extended. It is so quick and easy, and it's really what made me interested in this tripod to begin with, because the screw locking system is very cumbersome, and I've noticed that on my tripod, the screws start to get kind of worn down and they don't tighten up as well anymore with time. So this is a really nice system. You can actually adjust the tension on these locks if you want something that's a little bit less or a little bit more. So it's a really nice system, especially if you need to set up quickly. These legs also allow you to extend the tripod all the way down to the ground. And then they have an automatic locking system. So once you want to set the tripod up normally again, you can just do this and it automatically latches down there. And another thing we talked about for tripods was adjustability, right? So you want something that's going to have adjustable height. We already talked about how the legs adjust out. This tripod also comes with a center column. So it has a removable center column, and the center column is a unique design, so it's a triangle design, okay? So that means that when these legs are folded, it's actually very compact when you fold up the tripod. You can see how small that footprint is. And even on top, it's a very small footprint. Comparing that to the Benro tripod, it takes up more space. Okay, it's not a huge difference, but everything counts, especially space-wise for a backpack. So having it be a more compact design is really nice, really useful. And I usually have it so that the center post is just on the short section, because I really like it to be able to deploy this tripod and go all the way down to the ground. Okay, I like being able to go ground level. So I have that center column removed, but you can have this installed and it'll allow you to raise the center post up and give you a little bit more elevation. Now with the center post removed on this tripod, even if I have the legs fully extended, it's actually still a little bit short for me for shooting standing up. But that's not really something that's important to me because I very rarely shoot standing up. And I'd rather have the versatility to go all the way down to the ground. And this is light enough as well. This is nice aluminum. I have this in my backpack, so if there's a situation where I need to be standing to take a photo, I can just quickly put the center column back in, and actually the center post here has an Allen wrench built into it with a magnetic clip. So you're able to just adjust this. No tools required. You don't need to remember your Allen wrench. Everything is right here. So it's really easy to install that way. Now I use a video head for all of my work, but this tripod comes with a nice ball head. It's a 44mm ball head, and it is a really nice system. In fact, I usually don't use ball heads for my gear, but because this gear is rated for 44 pounds, you can actually use this ball head to mount my 400mm lens. It will support it, and it is useful. And even if with all that extra weight on top, the locking system on this ball head is strong enough that it will lock it in place and not move it. So that's something really important as well. But this ball head was so impressive to me that I actually, even though I don't use it for my wildlife gear, for my main lens, I ended up using this for my vlogging camera because it's such a nice ball head. And it has a lot of nice features for it. So it's a 44mm ball head, so it has a nice big ball there. And everything on here is just really thought out. So all the levers on here are really large, so it allows you to be able to manipulate this even with gloves on. It has some really nice dials and knobs on it, so you're able to adjust this with your gloves. Everything's large, so you're able to adjust things. And it's also really nice and smooth. So every movement that you have here is nice and sturdy and smooth. Once you lock it down, you can be confident that it's not going to move. And it supports my Z6 III, really nice for vlogging. Fotopro was also nice enough to provide me with the RZ3 quick release plate, quick detach plate. So this is the bottom plate here. This lives on this because I have the other part of it on my Z6 III, and it is just a really nice system because especially for me when I'm using it for my vlogging setup, there are instances where I want to take my camera off quickly to be able to get some nice B-roll shot or some landscape shot, and I don't want to necessarily have to set up my tripod. So I can just quickly take the camera off, get the footage I want, and then just snap it right back on. It's a very small thing, but makes a big difference, especially out in the field. Not having to unscrew anything and adjust too much is really a nice feature. So that's the ball head. I use it for my vlogging setup because it is just a really nice ball head. So just some final thoughts on this tripod, and if you're in the market to try to find a tripod, this has become my main tripod now. It's replaced my Benro tripod. I love that it's lightweight, it's compact. I am able to deploy this really quick and easily. The build is really sturdy. I love the carbon fiber and the aluminum build on it, and I'm pretty certain that this is going to stand up for years to come. Again, I've only used this for a month now, but there's nothing that would indicate that this is going to fall apart anytime soon. It's sturdy enough to hold up to my gear, even my long lens, and I love that it's nice and compact and lightweight. So if you're interested in a tripod, you're interested in the Fotopro tripod, I'll have the link to description down below in the description for the tripod and for their website. It is really nice. Obviously, everybody has their own uses and their own specifications for tripods, but I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you're in the market for a tripod and you can kind of understand the things that I look for in this gear and what's important to me. And also the price for this tripod I think is right now in the $300 range. So it's not a very expensive option. It's the same price that my Benro tripod has, and really for the weight limits that you're going to be looking for my long lens, that's basically the price range you're going to be into at a minimum. But you can go up and spend a lot more money than that. And I think for the price point for this tripod, you get a lot of nice features and something that's going to be really sturdy and dependable, which is really what you're looking for in a tripod for nature and wildlife photography. So if this tripod interests you, I'll have the link down below in the description for Fotopro. Again, it's the Origin Plus Travel Tripod. It's a very nice tripod, and you're going to be seeing it a lot in all of my future videos. So I hope this video was helpful for you if you're in the market, and I will see you again in the next video.